Welcome to Scholar Opportunity Nexus, and in today's series of video, we'll be summarizing what a vector quantity is and the properties of a vector quantity. If you've not watched any of our videos, I urge you all to search for Scholar Opportunity Nexus, subscribe, that's hit the subscribe button, and discover a lot of topics on various subjects. And in today's video, we'll be explaining what a vector quantity is again. Or that's just giving a broad overview of what a vector quantity is and its properties. So let's take this scenario. A lady moving from point, a lady riding a bike, moving from point A to point B. So the displacement per second that the lady took is shown here. Or even let's just take the displacement. So the lady is moving from point A to point B. So the displacement is the line shown here. That's the length or the total distance covered by the lady. The lady was moving from west to east. So I put an arrow there to show the direction of the vector quantity. So in this case, we see that we are having a length and a direction. That's a vector quantity. So a vector quantity is a physical quantity that has magnitude, a magnitude in a direction, and that direction is specified. We are saying the person is moving from west to east and is specified. So here you can use this scenario to get what a vector quantity is. Now, coming to the properties of a vector quantity, that's if we are revising or taking us you through what the properties are again for you to know the difference between a vector quantity and a scalar quantity. So firstly, the number one property is it has oh, it has a magnitude. A vector has a magnitude. Yes. So taking the scenario or what we use to describe what a vector quantity is, the length, the total length from A to B shows the magnitude or it gives the magnitude of this vector quantity. In this case, I used displacement as the example of the vector quantity for you to understand it more further. So the distance covered from A to B, the total distance here is the magnitude of the vector quantity. So a vector quantity has a magnitude. So in the graphical point of view, the length, the total length of the vector quantity is the magnitude of the vector. Also, it has a direction. That's a specified direction. Yes. And this is represented by the arrow. The arrow here shows the direction. That's a specified direction of a vector quantity. So a vector quantity has a magnitude 1. That's one property of it. And it also has a specified direction. If the direction is not specified, then it's not a vector quantity. Now, people at this point sometimes get confused. People sometimes get confused about a quantity that such as current, which is a scalar quantity that has a magnitude or is moving, it has a magnitude in an arrow. So it's assumed that it has a magnitude in a direction, and the arrow shows a direction, so it's a vector quantity. No, it's not a vector quantity. So one property that distinguishes or clears this conflict between this is that a vector quantity obeys the parallelogram law of vectors and the triangle law of vectors, but a scalar quantity doesn't obey this law. So since current is a scalar quantity, it won't obey the law of the parallelogram law of vectors and the triangle law of vectors, making it a scalar quantity, making it different from a vector quantity. So our third point, so it obeys a vector quantity. It obeys the parallelogram and triangle law of vectors. Yes, it obeys the parallelogram and triangle law of vectors. And this is the main property that distinguish a scalar quantity that can be represented by the magnitude, and there'll be a direction or an arrow showing that something like current that shows the magnitude in the direction. It doesn't obey the parallelogram and triangle law of vectors. So it doesn't make it a vector quantity. Yes. We'll be treating parallelogram law of vectors and triangle law of vectors in our next videos to come. These two laws are part of the fundamental laws that are very basic in mechanics or physics as a whole. So you'll be seeing it in other topics aside vectors. So we'll be taking you through them one by one for you to get it very well. Thank you for watching this video. And once again, if you've not subscribed, I urge you to click on the subscribe button and subscribe now. Thank you.